official welcome to everyone here. Thank you for joining us. My name is Sarah McAllister. I am the Senior Associate Director here for the Office of Alumni Career and Professional Development. We also have Nina Raffo, who is our Assistant Director in the same office, and she will be all things tech. And so if you have any questions or issues, please feel free to direct message her throughout the session. I'm going to do a very quick housekeeping, and I cannot wait to hand it over to both Sabba and Melanie for this just very robust and exciting session that I have been wanting to have for quite some time. So this is being recorded. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. Nina will post that link. We have over 60 videos of our past sessions. So if you are not familiar with our YouTube channel, I encourage you to check it out. And I think that's it. We want this to be a conversation. Please feel free to use the chat. Also, as Sabba and Melanie are kind of kicking us off, we'd love for you to introduce yourself in the chat and let us know where you are joining from. So Sabba and Melanie, I'm going to hand it off to you. Thank you for your time, and I can't wait to learn from you both.
Amazing. So I'll just start by saying as I want to maximize, we have a lot to share with you. One of the best things about having a personal brand is you can just tell people, Google me, right? So if you want to learn about me and you want to know about what I do, you can head to LinkedIn, you can Google me, and you will find lots about me and Melanie over there. But just in a nutshell, we're both here from the Wix Higher Education team, and we want to make sure we maximize our time with you. So instead of talking about us, we're going to talk about you. We want to know where you are from. So thank you, Sarah, for that one. But we also want to know why you're interested in AI, because we want to be able to tailor this conversation to you as much as possible. So along with telling us where you're joining from, tell us why you are interested in AI and what brings you here today, so that we can make sure we get all of your questions answered and all of your curiosities taken care of. And it really just allows us also to personalize the experience a little bit more. We can talk about so many different things. This is something we use pretty much every single day, as do probably most people. So the more we know about what you're interested in, the easier it's going to be for us. So I'm going to take a couple minutes to go ahead and read through this. But yeah, let us know what you're interested in when it comes to AI and just some of the tools that you've been using. Wow, I love you guys are visiting from all over. Looking to make a career change, that's a great one. Better understanding of AI in the terms of employment, and try to be like as specific as you can with us, like even when it comes to like AI with like, what is this one over here in the employment context? Like, are you looking for how you can use it in the field? Are you looking for what employers might be looking for? Like, try to be as specific with us as possible. Leveraging current job search, we've got that one covered. Clinical research. Ooh, that's a really, really interesting one. We utilize in our field. We've only used ChatGPT. Okay, architect, great. Research and writing for resume, design proposals. Oh, hasn't it been a godsend for that? Using AI in content marketing. Okay, wow, we've got lots of different things here. So we'll go ahead and get started. Like I said, keep putting these in. What we'll do is we'll kind of share with you some of the basics around using this for jobs and careers and things like that. And then towards the end, we'll save time to do some of these other like fun ones, like all these other different kinds of ones that we can get into. So a couple of things we're going to do today. We're going to talk about using AI tools, but in addition to talking about AI tools, we're also going to talk about the changing world of work. Like, why is a portfolio so essential in an AI world, and how do humans stand out in a world where AI can now do many of the things that were once, sort of like human things that we used to do. We'll talk a little bit about recruitment and the role that AI plays in that. And then most importantly, we'll talk about, like I said, that human advantage that you have to be able to grow your network, whether it's thinking about a job change, whether it's looking to go deeper within a company, whatever that goal is for you, sort of the intersection between technology, work, and also your professional presence and your own goals. So there's sort of three tools that we say are like your magic formula, your magic combination. They are ChatGPT, they are Wix for being able to build your portfolio website, and LinkedIn for being able to show everything you've got on your website to the world. Okay. throughout this webinar. This is very casual, even though we have a lot of people here, like, don't worry. Feel free to jump in at any time with a question. We have people monitoring the chat. If there's anything that's confusing, something you want to know more about, something that you think is really cool and really helpful, let us know those things in there. So let's take a quick look, just in case there is somebody in here who maybe has never used ChatGPT. The best way to think about this is I would say it's kind of like talking to your best friend, right? This is a tool that can generate information. How is it able to generate information? It's pulling all the data from the internet up to the year November 2021 or September 2021, one of those. So it's not, it can connect to the internet sometimes, but they actually just removed that feature. So this is something that is not connected to the internet, right? So this is not really a tool for research and things like that. One of the things to really remember about this tool, even if you ask for nonsense, it can create text like that for you and generate things and give you lots of information. So accuracy is something to keep in mind. But the easiest way we tell people to think about this tool is as if you are talking to your best friend, right? Because how do you talk to your best friend? Oh my God, I got to create this. I've got to do this, but I have this problem, but this is happening. Like, da, 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 da. We're like sharing all this information. And the really sort of unique thing about this tool is it can handle all that information, right? Sometimes when you're talking to a person, they're like, oh my God, I don't want to hear that anymore. That's too much information. This does not care. You can give it as much information as you want. You can ask it about any problem. You can ask it for any idea, you name it, and it's going to help you come up with something to be able to move forward. A couple of ways in which people are using this. Obviously, this has been a godsend to anybody, I think, in so many different areas. But just to give you a couple of statistics, 40% of job seekers are using ChatGPT to write their resumes and cover letters. I imagine these numbers are only going to go up. I think the last data that I saw from May, I believe it was that only 14% of Americans are even using this tool. So even when we're looking at a number like 46%, it's not 46% of the entire country. It's like 46% of like 20% of the population that are doing this. 7 in 10 people who have used it report a higher response rate from companies, and 78% said they got an interview when they use ChatGPT to submit their application materials. And one of the reasons for that is it's so easy to create alignment between keywords, job descriptions, your experiences, when you're inputting all of that information in and having an algorithm put those pieces together for you versus a human putting them together. And 59% said they were hired after applying to a job using these materials. So we're going to show you today how you can leverage them in that way. To give you kind of an idea of what's happening on the back end sometimes and why this matters, is a lot of times companies will use something called an ATS system. And basically what an ATS is, people get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of resumes. They need a way to be able to sift through them. A lot of companies say they don't do this, but I don't know, it's kind of hard. There's no transparency around this, so it's hard for anyone to know. But I remember places I worked at where like we've used these, but basically what happens is your resume goes through an AI system and it's scanning for keywords, the job description and your experiences to be like, okay, this is a person with like 90% match. And then those are the ones that are getting moved forward. So really being able to identify and use these keywords is really, really, really important. One of you asked about content marketing. This keywords and things like that isn't even just for like job searches. Even when you're thinking about writing content, using SEO keywords, using all those kinds of things, these are all things that are going to matter and be really important. So a couple things that you want to look at when you're thinking about that recruiter. Hiring managers, like I said, are scanning for those keywords. They're looking to see if you're qualified. But the one that we're really excited to talk to you about is your online presence, right? If all these people are using ChatGPT to get their resumes in, soon you're going to see a saturation, right? Which is like lots of good resumes. So what is again going to be that piece that allows you as the human to really stand out in an AI world? Because remember, this technology that you're using right now, as magical and as impressive as it seems, this is like the worst version of AI you're ever going to see in your career, right? So when you're thinking about the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years of your career, this is the worst version that you're seeing, which for us is like, if we even just had this for the next 20 years, I'm sure many of us would be happy. So there's 2 things we want you to keep in your mind as you're thinking about a career switch, getting a job, or even just strengthening your position wherever you are. When somebody is, right now here we have hiring manager, but just remember, even your manager, even the people that you're working with in your company are asking themselves these questions. And you want to always be that person who is putting together an answer for somebody else. So number one, people are wondering, can this person do the job? And if they have the job, how good are they at doing this job? Number two, do I like the person? I remember when I first got my very first like official, like I started as a high school teacher. And when I did my very, very first position, my mentor teacher told me, when you are working, it's 80% do people like you, 20% what do you know? Okay. So that like, do people like you, how you engage with people, how you interact with people through the projects that you're doing, through the work that you're doing is really, really important sometimes. It can be really scary as well, starting your career, right? Like at this point when like so many things are changing, we just came out of a pandemic, you're just like changing, moving from school to like career and making that transition. And now all of a sudden we've got this AI in the mix as well, where you're hearing like, oh, these jobs aren't going to exist anymore. Like, and that's one of the challenges with the media. Like it's either like doom and gloom or it's like, oh my God, overly excited. And there is a middle ground here, right? Yes. And this is not just true for AI. This is true for all technologies. If you were to look at the data of like what happened to the economy, what happened to jobs when technologies came about, we saw jobs being lost, but we also saw jobs being created. Now, here's the challenge. Do you have the skills for the jobs that are being created? And a lot of times, even if you're in I'm going to share a really good podcast with you. It's one that LinkedIn does. It's called Getting Hired or Get Hired. And today's episode or this week's episode was all about career starters. And they were talking about, there's a specific story about somebody who went into project management, and they went into project management for healthcare. However, they weren't really happy with the job. They wanted to change. They wanted to move into something else. But they didn't have to move into another healthcare related thing. When you're in something like project management, content creation, whatever, even teaching, there's so many different industries and fields where you can transfer your skill set. And that's really where the portfolio becomes valuable, because a lot of times you might not know that your skill set can be used in another area. But if you've got a network and you're sharing your things online and you've got a portfolio, another person will be like, a recruiter will be like, hey, we need that person because they're doing X. And I'll give you a really good example. I was teaching high school history. I never imagined there would be a position for me at a company like Apple or a company like Wix, right? When you think high school teacher, Apple and Wix don't really come to the top of your mind. You're thinking schools, you're thinking districts and things like that. But I was recruited to those places because of a portfolio, right? It's like, oh, you're using iPads in your classroom in all these different ways. We have a position for you here. So when you are sharing the work that you're doing, even within your industry, you don't always need to be the one to showcase how you can fit into somewhere else. Other people will come and find you. And that's probably one of the biggest benefits of having a portfolio and a network. Another really big thing that people are looking for, this is very, very important for your generation, because a lot of times you feel like, sometimes a lot of times people when they're early in their career feel like they don't have anything to contribute, they don't have anything to do, they need more experience. Your life and living through the time you've lived through is one of the biggest experiences that employers are looking for. People want to know what Gen Z wants from the workplace. A lot of people in companies and businesses know how important technology is, but for you, technology may be very normal, whether it's social media platforms, whether it's the style of communication, things that you're not even thinking are unique are because the people you're working for are going to apply to in a company, they came from a different generation than you. So you have skills just from the experiences that you've lived and the things that you want to see in the future of your, workplaces. You should also know businesses are very, very excited about AI. 49% of companies are currently using it, even more plan to do this. You have to remember, we're still in the really, really, really early stages of this. So the more on top of it you are, the more you're trying it, the more you're playing around with these tools, practicing with these tools, the more ahead of the curve you'll be. But 90% of leaders do agree that this is a very beneficial skill to be able to have. What's really interesting as well, I'll share a little bit more data with you, is while a lot of people don't require a portfolio, 71% of hiring managers say when somebody does submit one, it influences their decision. Okay, so and you should also know that even though we live in a world of the internet, you would think that everyone has a portfolio. But if I was to survey people here, let's even maybe do it. How many of you here have a website? So let us know just so everyone can kind of get an idea. And so I get an idea of where to focus my time too. Couple of things as well. One of the top ways people are reaching out and looking for people is on LinkedIn and social media platforms. We recommend LinkedIn as your first one, just because it's very all-inclusive. You have a network of people there that you can easily add. Companies are there, you can apply to things. You can share work. It's like a social environment, easy to network, easy to meet people. It's really easy basically to get in on LinkedIn. And I think one of you actually asked a question about that. I'm going to go, we'll run through the questions in just a moment. But just know that having an online presence, being out there, people are looking for you. So give them something cool to look at. And I'll give you an example of what that could be. So over here, I'm going to share with you just a couple examples of websites that people have created. And then I'm going to show you how you can create one of your own and how you can use ChatGPT and some other AI tools to move that process much faster. But as I go through this, I want you to just tell me, what are some of the things that come to mind? Like, what do you think immediately, right? And when I asked you those two questions, right? Like, what is this? How good is this person at their job? Do I want to work with this person? What are some of the things that come to mind for you as I scroll through this website? You just drop it in chat. Just tell me what you think. Kind of like your first impression. See over here, we can click here, go to their resume. Scroll, you can kind of see their things. But you can just see kind of like how like this is very dynamic compared to like it's social, clean look, right? And one of the things I always say is like even with when you have a website, you're saying so many things about yourself without even saying them. You're saying you're professional. You're saying you're someone who goes above and beyond. Like nobody really goes into their like resume and stuff and says like, oh, like I design things that have a clean look, right? Like, oh, like I'm a professional person. Like there's a lot of things like we just don't say about ourselves. I take initiative. I'm hardworking. I go above and beyond. This is all an example when you just submit a link to a website. Those are all the different things that you're saying about yourself and that you're telling somebody about you as a professional. Okay, let's look at another one, a little bit different. This is a journalist. And there's another thing, there's a huge misconception, I think, like in the market in general, that like portfolios are only for graphic design majors or arts majors or creative majors. Like I said, I was a teacher. Melanie was a professor. This is a journalist, you know, like there is a portfolio. Like if you're somebody who does projects or you do any kind of work, there is room for a portfolio for you. So again, very, very different type of website. Okay, this one definitely has a lot more on it. I always tell people, do not be overwhelmed by thinking you need so many things on your website. Okay, remember, nobody's spending hours and hours on your website. They're really only going to be spending maybe like 1 to 2 minutes a max. Okay, so you just need something great for them to look at. And then after that, you can keep adding on, doing more things. Your website, I say, is a lifelong journey. I've had mine ever since I started my career back like 20 something years ago. But literally every single week, I'm making a little change, a little tweak, something to my website. So it really is a lifelong thing. You don't have to have everything on your website in the first phase of your launch. Okay, so those are some examples. But before I move on and show you how to build yours, let's take a pause, go through chat, tell me what some people are saying, and let me know if you have any questions before I move on. Anything that's come up, guys? Yeah, we can get into how you can just share a resume, but any other questions? Molly, notice anything in chat that I should cover before we move on?
You know, I don't think so. I mean, we have some good, you know, sharing how do we share a portfolio with jobs who just want the resume uploaded? What a great question. Do you have to just put in your resume that you have a website? So some really good things I think we're seeing about, first of all, like where does the portfolio fit in to this larger job search process? Like,
Okay.
you know, and also, of course, you know, the balance of ChatGPT, like how it can help us on the career journey, but also in the job search and portfolio building process.
Okay, perfect. So that's leading us perfectly into our next section. So let's go ahead and continue. So one of the things I will share with you is we do a separate introduction to building a portfolio that we'll share a link to you for. And in this webinar deck, which I'm going to share all these slides with you, we do have step-by-step how to create an account, how to get started, and all the things. So once you get in and you've actually created your account, you're going to see our templates. We have an entire library of templates that are catered to basically any field, any industry, anything at all. The section that I'm in right now is under creative, and I'm in portfolios. So you can see over here, we have like resume portfolios. We have lots of different kinds of ones here. And basically what you do is like you hover over the different templates and you can view them. And you can go ahead and you can take a look and you can see like, do you like it? Do you not like it? All those different kinds of things and whatnot. So you can scroll through and be like, oh, wow, yeah, I really like this website. Here's the biggest piece of advice I would give you is that when you are scrolling through these, you should see it as an easy cut and paste. If you're going through here and you're like, oh, I don't have this. Oh, don't need that. Like, oh, and you even remotely get that feeling, that is not your template. Okay. Your template is probably going to be one of the most important decisions you make. And the reason for that is you can create as many websites as you want. However, every time you create a new website, you do have to start from scratch. So I can't come here, start building this entire template out, and then be like, actually, you know what? I really like this one instead. You can absolutely come back, recreate it, no cost, go in and do it. However, you will have to start the process again. So we do really recommend that when you are choosing a template, you choose one where you're like, oh my God, yes, this is exactly what I was looking for. Cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste. Now, once you find a website that you like, you come up to the top, you do edit the site, and it's really easy for you now to come here and delete minor things like a phone number or a birth date. Like that's not something you dismiss a template for. You dismiss a template if there's like too many images and you don't have that many images because maybe you're more text focused, or you want to showcase your resume more versus like a product or a service. That's the kind of thing you look for versus that. I always tell people if you can use Google Slides or Microsoft PowerPoint, you can use Wix. Everything about Wix is drag and drop and edit. Now, the moment you build this portfolio, Wix is already going to have an AI tool in here ready to help you. So I don't know if there's anyone in here who wants to give me an example. Like, hey, this is like the kind of website I'm getting ready to build. Like, is there anyone in here who wants to be like my volunteer so I can create something like live? If not, I'll just make something up. But if you are, you have something, let me know. We in the website deck have an example for you. Okay. So I'm just going to come here, cut and paste this. And let's go into our resume builder. So this is basically just a little bit of information about your site and like who you are. So like, this is who I am. The name of my site is going to be Taylor Marketing. Let's just go ahead and put that. And we're going to go ahead and create. And one of the things, oh wait, I put too much information in. One of the things with some of that basic information, it's going to start tailoring your information to the website. And this is a really great one, executive and ONG. Can you tell me what ONG is? Is it, I'm not even going to guess, getting into fusion energy. A portfolio is the oil and gas. Okay, perfect. A portfolio is the perfect way to begin doing that by sharing like an experience. Like, why don't you tell me? Because this is a really great one actually. Do you have any experience or like little things maybe you've been doing that would help somebody see how you're making that transition or what your skills are as you're kind of moving in that direction? So you take a moment, fill those things into there. And while you do that, I'm going to go ahead and show you really quickly how you can edit some of the stuff on here. So for example, you would literally just like click right here and you can go ahead and you can put in, you know, your name. You can add in different things like that are there. So I can just come in here and edit. So I can change this over here to Sabba. And then I might be like, okay, I do not want my phone number there. I can just click and delete. Maybe I don't have my address there either. Sorry, I don't know why that happened. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Sabba. There might have been a minor sound glitch for a second.
Yeah, my Siri's coming on for some reason. Okay. Okay, there we go. So obviously address, another thing we don't recommend putting on your website, neither do you need any of this. So we're gonna go ahead, come up here, email, great thing to have. We would go ahead and do that there. And then now we need to come down and maybe now we need to do our about me. And this is where a lot of times it's very easy to get stuck on a website. And so what we're gonna do is go ahead and open this up to take a look at how we could use an AI tool like ChatGPT to help us in that process, okay? So one of the things that we want to be able to just kind of like chat about right up front is that the prompts you give this tool are the difference that will make a difference. You may hear a lot of people say like, oh, it's so dumb and oh, it can't really do anything. And anytime you hear that, it's sort of like a red flag that like whatever prompt they entered was not very good. And so one of the things, like, you know, just an example, if I was here getting ready to do the about me of my section, a really bad prompt would be write an about me. Well, it has no information. But one of the things you'll see over here, if I was to just start a brand new conversation and say, write an about me that I can use on my website, it will kind of tell you a template. So it will kind of give you a general idea of what it is you can do. You'll notice this was here for 3.5. The one thing we do recommend if you are doing this for anything professional is to use 4. It is $20 a month. It's really well worth it. But even in this one, if we were to say write an about me for my website, you'll see over here, it's going to give you a little bit of a different response, right? Whereas the first one, and I'll show you that in a second, the first one just gave you a template, like here's what you should do. 4 is going to say, hold up, let's get some information first. And that way, even if you didn't know what to write in, it will help you do that. So 4 is just smarter. It's going to make less mistakes, which is going to be less likely that you get in trouble for like anything in which you're using. So you'll see over here in 3.5, it didn't care to ask anything about me. It just gave me a generic template that I could use that I'm using. And guess what? So is the rest of the world, because it's giving me this answer. It's giving the rest of the world this answer too. Whereas when we use 4, instead of giving you a template, it said, hey, give me some information and then I'll help you do that. We've kind of done that for you too. We've given you some basics over here. I'm going to actually share a document with you. And basically in this document, I'll share it in just a moment. But basically in this document, we have like, it's like a worksheet template for you to write down a bunch of ideas and all these different kinds of things before you go into ChatGPT so that you have some personalized information. One of our absolute favorite tools to write an about me is something called the Spark Type. And the Spark Type basically talks about what energizes you at work. So over here, we have an example for you. This is Taylor, bunch of information, taking their Spark Type, has their skills and strengths, basically all the things we've asked you to kind of reflect on here. We have an example for you here. And then we have a sample prompt. And basically what you do with this sample prompt is just come in here and basically go in and replace all the areas that you see in red with your information. Okay, so I have this already made, and all this paragraph is that you're seeing is this exact prompt, but filled out with Taylor's information. So now let's go ahead and put in this information. Okay. And one of the things, again, I feel like sometimes like this is new for a lot of people, you can enter as much information as you want. This is why I really say treat it like your best friend, like just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and then go in that way. So let's go ahead and hit enter and let's see what it comes up with. So you can see over here now, it's coming in, it's putting this, and you can just see like, even in its description, like in its opening, it's so much more interesting than like, I went to this school, this is my major, this is what I do, like all the generic things that people typically tend to write. You can see over here, like just your opening. I'm driven and innovative. You know, I have a fiery passion for all things marketing. My journey into the world was not by chance, but this like, you know, like, it's just like so interesting to like read. Now you may go through this and be like, okay, you know what? Like, for example, the opening is too dramatic. I want it to sound more professional, and I want people to read this and describe me as motivated and detail oriented. Okay, so if there are parts of this that you don't really like, that you're like, okay, whoa, like calm down. It can be very dramatic at times. You can tell it like, hey, like, let's change this up. I don't like this. I like this. Change this, tweak this, and all those different kinds of things. Sometimes you might even read this and be like, oh my God, you know what? I have a much better experience that I can talk about. Instead of talking about this one, I want you to talk about this one. Okay, and just give it the information. What did you do? You don't have to have perfect sentences. That's the other beauty of this tool. It's really you just putting out whatever's in your head and let this do the organizing. Let this do the fixing for you and all those different kinds of things. Okay. So that's the first thing we want to show you. And then the second thing is, how do you talk about project descriptions? Okay. Because these are probably the two most important things on your portfolio website is your about me and your project descriptions. Now, with your about me, you can take the same about me and you know what you can do? Go and add it to your LinkedIn profile and anywhere else. One other thing we recommend, because many of you have graduated, so like LinkedIn is probably a big thing for you. I want you to create a one-line headline for me that I can use on LinkedIn, okay? And so now it's gonna take all that information and go ahead and create a one-line headline. Now, if I'm thinking about, who was it? Mark, was it you who was telling me about like ONG and getting into fusion energy? What's your story? Like I would literally put out all your story, like why you started in ONG, why you became interested in fusion energy, some of the experiences you have along the way. I would cut and paste the results from the Spark type, put it all in here, and then tell it like, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm currently in ONG, I want to make a transition into this industry, and just all the things, and write it out and watch the responses it gets. And then I would say, create a LinkedIn headline for me. And then what I would be doing is I would go on LinkedIn and I would start finding anyone and everyone in fusion energy. I would be following them. I'd be commenting on their posts and I would reach out to them. One of the things that I recommend is reach out to people once you have a portfolio, because when somebody clicks your name, you want them to see something about you that motivates them to talk to you. And a portfolio is one of the top ways to be able to get somebody interested in talking to you, because you know what 99% of people do? Hi, I'm so-and-so. I want a job here. Will you have a coffee chat with me? And like, I get those all the time. And I can tell you, like, it's rare. If I click and I don't see something interesting, to be honest, it's very hard for me to reply to those, because you just like, why am I talking to you? Like, who are you? What are you doing? Why should I take time out of my day to talk to you? So if you want someone to be motivated to chat with you, give them something interesting to look at. So that's there. So the other one we want to go into is project descriptions, right? Like now many of you have graduated. Even if like you don't feel like you have anything that exciting in the last 6 months, think back to your course experiences and the things that you've done and how you could leverage those to be able to build this. So you'd want to do that there. Over here, we're going to go ahead, and this is probably the most popular description that people use, or the framework people use to be able to talk about their projects. It's called STAR, Situation, Task, Action, Results. Again, same thing. We have a prompt ready for you to cut and paste. So you can come here and you can basically fill in this information and you can get started. And so, but again, the key really is though personalizing this and filling in all this information. So again, let's do another example for you over here. You can just see, I just have all of this done. I am going to tweak something here, okay? Because I want to show you, this is really important actually. A lot of times we don't collect results. We don't start a project and measure and do like a needs assessment. Like they started at 10% and now at the end of this project, let me survey them again. And now they're up 35%. It's really, really rare projects in school include that kind of data analysis, or honestly, even in workplaces. So let's say you're stuck on result, okay? Because most people are, but results are also the most impactful. So these are the most important. You can come here, let's say I've got the situation, I've got the task, I've got the action, but let's come here and say, okay, great. Thanks for the about me. Again, remember, always talk to it like a human. Now I need to create project descriptions. Okay, here is my first one. I am using the STAR framework, and you would want to cut and paste our ones. I'm doing it a little off, track, but like you use our ones. I'm using the STAR framework, but I didn't gather results. Now, I don't want the description to say I didn't get results, right? Like I'm talking to it like my friend, like, hey, I need your help with something. I need to write this up. I didn't get the results, but I don't want to say that. Can you help me? Can you help me create something based on what I'm giving you? And this doesn't care about spelling mistakes either. So if you make a little typo here and there, don't feel like you need to go back and do it. All right, so it's going to come here and it's going to say, okay, like here's your title, like, okay, nice. And it's giving me my description, it's giving me my whole thing. But what I really need to zone in on are results, because I need to see what it's making up or what it's saying. So here it is. I saw an opportunity to increase visibility and reach by doing these collaborations. Like I said, you just want to make sure that whatever it gives you is accurate. And it's going to tell you as well what its thinking was behind what it created. So it's saying over here, this focuses on your actions and strategic thinking without explicitly stating that you didn't get the results. And the final sentence says the results are ongoing. So it shows that you're aware of the importance of results, but maybe you didn't collect them or whatever. But anyways, it's just making you sound really good. You take this, you cut and paste, you come over to your website, and over here, and even if you want to do like, hey, for my resume, I need to create the 2 most important points that are like action oriented that are going to make me sound good. You literally come over here. You can see you can cut and paste your different skills in. For expertise, maybe this is where you put it. Cut it. Oh, whoops, I'm not in the edit version. Sorry. Let's go to our edit version. Come over here. Maybe this is not our expertise. Maybe this is my projects. And over here, cut and paste and put that in. Obviously, it's way longer, but the idea is you get the point. You get the information from ChatGPT, you come over to your website, you cut and paste everything in, and there you go. You are pretty much done. Now, over here, we could be like, oh, okay, that's way too long. Okay, so we can come up over here, we can undo this. Okay, and we can come over here and we can come over here and be like, okay, this is great, but I also need a 3-sentence version. And it will come over here, take that, build out a 3-sentence version for you. And that's going to be, sorry, I don't know why my thing is being a little slow. And now what we're going to do is come here. And instead of putting that long thing in, we're going to bring our 3-sentence version over and cut and paste that in over here. Okay, that's a little bit more manageable. I'm going to do the same for my next 2 projects over here. So maybe this is like project 1, project 2, project 3, and boom, I'm done. These tend to be the hardest areas for people about me and project descriptions. And so those are the 2 areas that we focused on. But hopefully through that, you're able to really see why this matters in being able to kind of do something there. So I'm going to pause really quick here before we move over to the LinkedIn part and just see if there are any questions or things you want us to go over.
Yeah, guys, feel free to ask questions or just react, just a pulse check, because I know for a fact the first time I did this in ChatGPT and how quickly it moves, I was just kind of like, just, kind of a little blown away. So if you want to share that as well, but, the ways in which you're seeing potentially how this can be relevant or how you can use it, just any, reactions, questions you have. We had a few really good questions in the chat, actually, that are going to come up in this next section on LinkedIn. Some questions about like, how should we, reach out, or how should we share our portfolio? Like, do we direct them to LinkedIn? Like, do we just share a link? Some questions also about like using media on Wix, which I'll just share with you all now. Wix has a media library that allows you to use all of our images free of use. So again, if it's something where you're like, well, I did this amazing project, to go back to Mark's example, but I don't have any images of it, or it's just spreadsheets, like, all those types of things. Well, you can use our media from Wix library to enhance your website with free to use images. So this incredible way to lend visual interest to your portfolio as well. So that's a great question. Let's see if I have any other things. Does the website have multiple pages, or is it a scroll down a single web page? That depends on the template, Mark. Great question. So we have, again, hundreds upon hundreds of templates within Wix. Some facilitate a single page website, which is a really great way to get started, where you kind of present your highlights in one single experience. And then as you grow and as your website grows, you can add multiple pages, or if you know you have a ton of content already, you're ready to create, multiple project pages, we have templates that facilitate that as well. And so Sabba's kind of showcasing the media library here. And again, we picked a template that is, has like a really robust homepage, because again, if you're submitting your website, recruiters might only spend 30 seconds looking at it. You want your homepage to really, make an impact immediately. But then if it is this engaging type of homepage, you can invite them further and tell your story further with those, robust pages. So excellent questions here. Let me make sure.
Can I jump in with a question, or do you want me to type it out?
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Go for it.
Sabba, hi, this is Reed. And just for background on this, I'm not asking this because of a student. I'm kind of early 40s, so past the student days. But ever since, so detection tools have proliferated in the wake of ChatGPT. So as ChatGPT continues to be used, SEO and other companies are going to probably discount copy written by AI. You see that in universities, kids are getting expelled, and probably SEO on Google and things of that sort. So how do you recommend using ChatGPT, but also changing the wording later to not get kind of lower in a search or flagged in a kind of quote used by ChatGPT wording? I know one solution is to use ChatGPT to create an outline, and then I write the wording. But let's say that I want ChatGPT to come up with the first draft, and then I'll edit it later. What should I focus on for editing so it doesn't get flagged on the quote ChatGPT written website and lower it on SEO and things like that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And all the research, to be honest, and like data or any efficacy around that has all been disproven. So as of right now, while colleges would like us to believe AI detection tools work because they need to catch up with their practices, the reality is there is not a single data point out there that proves the efficacy of any AI detection tool. So this concept of AI detectors is going to go away very quickly. One of the things we recommend is actually vice versa. Instead of going to it and doing your first, trying to do the whole thing that ChatGPT really accelerates us on is getting over that first draft point and allowing us to finalize and touch up the end of it. And so the more information, I would say, think of it this way, okay? Like, this is why we say at the end of the day, an AI tool needs a human prompt, okay? And what is the best human prompt? It's your insights from your environment. So if you're thinking about SEO, like let's just take that example of SEO for a blog post. Let's say I'm writing a blog post on AI in education. Now, I can absolutely come here and be like, literally I could be like, I want to add a blog to my page and I want to write about AI in marketing. Create a SEO friendly title, headlines, and 300-word post. Boom, I'll get something. However, that is so generic and so basic, but if I start saying, hey, I want to write a blog post, these are the top 3 fears I'm hearing from people in the oil and gas marketing industry. These are the 3 things I want people to be excited about that they're not really thinking of. Now it's going to give me a completely different output. But that information came from me. It came from my observations. It came from my conversations with people. And that's the big shift we're going to see in just workplaces. Your ability to gather those human insights. AI can't interact with the environment, right? Like it can't listen. Like if I was to ask it right now, I just did a workshop for alumni, write me a summary about how they can use AI. It probably won't even capture maybe this question that you just asked, but you asked me this question. Now, as I'm thinking about writing things, I'm going to take the information that I'm getting from my conversations with people, from my experiences with people, from just even my prior experiences and my knowledge about my industry, future trends, research, insights. And now I'm going to feed it all this information. I'm going to say, I want you to generate this. right? Very, very, very different than the person who goes in and gets kind of this like generic heading, right? So your ability to compete on that level, like again, even with SEO, even with all these things, like we have not seen any efficacy around any study with AI detection detectors. And anyone who has, like, I think there were 1 or 2 college professors and they backtracked, because I always tell people, like, in a country like the United States, you're like opening yourself up to a lawsuit from a student if you try to accuse them of any kind of plagiarism. And that will go for companies, that will go for anybody. So just like fun fact, like AI detectors are not a thing, and probably won't be either, because this is something that updates in real time. Like you'll notice over here, I think I deleted it, but we just did the same webinar an hour ago, the exact same webinar. The copy it gave me last hour and this hour are different. So even between your 2 workshops, these 2 examples I generated are totally different. And one of the other things is right now we are very focused on, I feel like just society in general is very focused on ChatGPT. When you start moving over, because this is the other one I was going to recommend to you at the end, when you move over to tools like Microsoft Bing that are connected to the internet, your ability for detection like is even lower, because it's constantly updating in real time. It's connected to the internet, it's data. So one of the exciting things for people like you, like me, I'm in my 40s too, but like all of us, is that the world of work is changing. And the more we can help people make use of these tools, the more valuable you'll be to any company and to any industry. And that's where like the ultimate opportunity is what does AI look like for my industry, and how do I use it, and how can I upskill others? So hopefully that helps a little bit. I do want to show you on the LinkedIn piece really quick. I think Melanie said there were some questions there, yeah?
There was, yeah. And this segues to the LinkedIn piece, but also Reed, to your point about SEO, the chat GPT can be incredibly helpful with that generative process of developing what we call your personal brand keywords. There needs to be kind of language and a set vocabulary around how you talk about yourself professionally that is you, that tells your story and that demonstrates who you are, regardless of who you're talking to. And those keywords need to show up everywhere on your LinkedIn profile, on your portfolio, about me, like they need to be the first things, because they kind of become this signature of your brand across the internet. And that's where the portfolio again becomes this centralized online hub where, you know, if you kind of work with personal SEO enough, you are showing up in those searches, but at the same time, you're using the language consistently in a way that says like, this is who I am, regardless of where you find me across the internet. Right. So just kind of following through with your SEO point as well. And this kind of gets us now to LinkedIn itself and the language on LinkedIn connecting to the portfolio.
Awesome. So really quickly over here, when you're in LinkedIn, a couple places where you're going to be able to put in your website link is when, if you come over to your name, you go to profile, by default, creator mode is turned off. So the first thing you want to do is come over here, click this and turn it on. And what this will do is open up more options for you for being able to showcase things on your LinkedIn profile. So the first thing it's going to open up for you is this over here, which is a website link. So I have a link here that goes to my site. You could be like, view my portfolio. You can say view my projects, subscribe to my newsletter, whatever it is that you want to put in. You can add like a little call to action over here, which is really nice, and link your website. Now, somebody who is viewing your website, okay, or your LinkedIn, like for example, if you go into my LinkedIn right now, you'll see this section, but without having to scroll, you're also going to see this section, right? Because you're not going to see this middle piece. So you see the introduction, and then right away you see what's called my featured section. The most amazing thing about the featured section is you can literally come over here, add a post, add a link. So you can add a link to your website, and it will right away show somebody who you are, right? Who you are, what you do, where you went to school, a link to your website, and your top 3 items. That is like, without having to scroll, somebody can learn all those things about you. They click, they go to your website, and now you've hit those 2 questions so well. Should I hire this person? How does this person work? What are their skills and strengths? And do I enjoy working with this person, right? When you put forward a great portfolio, you're putting forward such a great first digital impression that it's going to motivate somebody to chat with you, to connect with you, to be curious, to learn more about you and what it is that you do. The other thing that you can do with that for what makes LinkedIn like really helpful is being able to come over here to jobs, right? Like, so for example, you said like fusion energy. I don't know anything about energy. So like, I don't know how well I'm able to do this. But if we come over here and we search, wait, this is for companies, right? Whoops, there we go. So we come over here and do this, you'll start to see all the different positions. But one of the other things you can do, you can also search by company. Okay, so let's say maybe over here, you were like, oh, I really want to do something with this company. Okay, I want to come over here. You can come over here even to like, where are we? You can come over here basically, and you can now cut and paste like this entire description. Okay, and then you can come over to ChatGPT and you can be like, let's start a new one, use 4. You can say, I am in oil and gas. I want to make the transition to fusion energy, you know, and then you would want to enter all your information, okay, like your resume, like your skills, your strengths, blah, blah, blah. Here is a job description. Can you write a resume and cover letter for me? And you can go in here and you can go in and do that. And I know one of you earlier, I'm going to go back to the top to see some of your questions, but I know one of you earlier asked about like content marketing. It's the same thing. Like I'm marketing for this brand, but you need to be able to bring in as many personalized insights as you can. Our audience is really like, these are our audience pain points. These are the things that our audience is motivated by. This is the type of brand voice that we have. I want you to create 5 posts that I can use on Instagram, Twitter, and every other social media platform that's out there. And then it will create something much more meaningful versus like, I need content for my brand social media page. So the more information you can feed it, the more information you can give it that is personalized, the better your output is going to be in terms of the results that it gives you. So you can see over here, it's giving you this, but obviously I have not put in enough information about you, right? Like Mark, and like the transition you're looking to make. And so the more you do that here, the more it will help you. And a lot of times this is the draft that you need to be able to move forward and just, you know, be more creative and do that type of stuff. Okay, so this is a really good question. Does ChatGPT save your input about yourself from session to session? So this is actually a choice that you get to make. So over here on the bottom left-hand side, when you click the 3 dots, you can come over here to your settings and you have something over here called data controls. If you turn history off, it's really up to you. I personally leave it on because I want to go back and see all of mine. I don't want to keep recreating things. However, if you want it to be turned off, you can absolutely turn it off. The only downside is it doesn't save your conversations for you. So if that doesn't matter to you, then you can totally turn it off. If it does matter to you and you want to keep your conversations, then I would recommend keeping it on. Another thing that's really helpful in this is if you do subscribe to 4, you have something called plugins. And so what's really cool about plugins is there are tons and tons and tons of them, but one of the ones I'll show you is something called Link Reader. So you can literally go and you can like grab a website. Let me do like, oh my God, I'm like blank now. I don't know why you put oil and gas in my head. And so I feel like now that's the only thing I'm like thinking of, but I can literally come here, I can grab this link and I can come back to my tool over here. And I can say, this is actually really great for research, okay? Like I want to write a blog to show my expertise in this area. Here is a link and I want you to use this. And I want you to use this to write a 300-word post, okay? And it will take that, it will analyze the link. So you can even give it multiple links. Like, again, this is where your human advantage kind of comes in. I want you to use this source, this source, this source. It's almost like an intern, right? If you think of it that way, hey, I'm giving you all this data. I want you to use all these links. I want you to use these files, and I want you to go write a 300-word blog post for me, right? Even people, if you think about it, who outsource, like most people who write blogs do not write their own blogs, like they're outsourcing it to like people. When you outsource, what do? Here's all the information you need. I need you to go and create this for me. And this is going to be very similar. And it will show you kind of like how it's pulling in this information, what it's doing, and all that kind of stuff. But again, your job is to go in, do a double check, do a read. The people I think that get in the most trouble are the ones that just blindly cut and paste. and go off kind of in that way. All right, so we can hang around for a couple more minutes and ask some questions, but I do actually have a question for you that I am going to put into the chat. And I just want to know what you're thinking when thinking about AI. I used to think, and now I think. And if you could take a couple moments to just go ahead and tell us what you're thinking, we will kind of close out just by hearing some of your thoughts and ideas and reflections. So maybe take a moment to go ahead and answer that question. We'd love to hear what you're thinking when thinking about AI. I used to think, and now I think.
Nicole sharing, I knew it was powerful. Yeah, but infinite possibilities. Yeah, this webinar could be 4 hours long with all of the things that we could show you in terms of use cases with it. Particularly, like we said, from the personal assistant perspective, and also understanding that the more you talk to it as a human and kind of treat it in that way, as weird as this might sound, the better results you're going to get. And so it's going to work better for you. So it's an interesting interactive capacity.
I told you that. I wanted to get to who was this, Kelly, your question around proposals. One of the easiest things to do is, again, feed it as much information you can about the client without using any identifying information. So I always say it's like, again, talking to your friend, hey, I need to tell you about this person. I can't tell you the name, but I'm going to tell you all the details. Tell it about the type of thing that you're trying to create, what your goals are with the proposal, and then ask it to create an overview, outcomes, what might a good flow be for me to present, like whatever your proposal components are, you can just like literally as if you were hiring somebody to build that proposal because you didn't want to write it. What information would you tell them? How would you guide them? What would you tell them to include? And things like that. So you can do that. I just want to make sure that we got, for the job opportunities, hopefully you guys got to see on there. In terms of your reach on LinkedIn, the best thing you can do is comment on other people's posts, okay? If you come over here to LinkedIn, you'll see one of the most things that usually pop up is this person commented on this, okay? That is the easiest way to build reach on LinkedIn. Go find the people you want to connect with, follow them, and hit and comment on their posts. And when you comment on their posts, everyone in their network gets notified that this is this person, and you'll get, that is the number one way to meet new people and reach new people. All right. Okay, Sarah, I'll hand it back to you. AI does business plans. AI does everything. There isn't anything that it doesn't do. So if you would, but the key is, again, what do you want to have in your business plan? What are your goals? What are you trying to create? What do you want it to include? You need to give all that information. Like, I want to start an AI consulting company for maybe, you're sitting here looking at this and you're like, I want to start an AI consulting company for new college grads. I need to create a business plan, right? Like, you could literally come in here. I'll make this the last one. Okay. After a workshop, I want to create a consulting company for new college graduates, because honestly, most people are not teaching college kids about ChatGPT, and they're probably the ones that need it the most. About AI tools like ChatGPT, can you make me a business plan? Very basic, right? Not a good prompt at all, but I just want you to see, like, it's even going to tell you, here's a basic outline because you didn't give me enough information. You can even ask it, what other information should I give you to help you create something better for me? Okay. So it's kind of going to give you some ideas. And for each of these, you can say, okay, the legal structure of my business, great, create it for me. You can ask this to do anything you want. Okay. So I'm going to stop there. We could keep going and going and going and going. We will send you the deck. You will get a copy. I think this is being recorded, so you'll have a copy of that. And then we'll send you some other little links. You also get a coupon code to be able to upgrade your website for 1 year. But bottom line, this is a really exciting time to be in the world of work. A lot of opportunity for you. If you are even using an AI tool, know that you're in the top 15% of the American population. So yeah, fun times ahead. And I hope this was really helpful for you.
Sabba and Melanie, thank you so much for your time today. This was incredible. I know that the recording is going to be very popular and people will probably be reaching out to you with questions. So as Sabba shared, we will be in your inbox later this afternoon with all the things. And thank you again. This was wonderful. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks you guys for having us.
Bye.
Appreciate it.